about classes, if also statement. We learned about view and view groups that they shape our Android app UI, and we created our dice uh, rolling app. So let's get started with this session and moving on to the pathway one in session in unit 2. So I'm gonna send this link into the, yeah, I see that it's already here, but I'm gonna paste it again. This is for pathway one. So the first two videos in this website is you can just watch it by your own, and we're going to just jump into the main content here and start with classes and inheritance in Kotlin. So last week we learned what is a class, and if you still recall, we said we structure our object in classes in programming. So, and the feature of those objects are our class property, and behavior of objects are our class functions. So that's how we structure an object in programming. So today we'll be introduced with this new term that called inheritance. But before we begin with this term and digest what is it, let's start with the given example here, which is a real world example. So imagine a vegetable and legume. So if you want to draw a hierarchy diagram, how would you do it? So you see that here we're on top, we're having vegetable, and the next level is legume. So legume is kind of a vegetable. So the bigger, if you want to kind of categorize and group them, so the bigger group is vegetable and legume is a smaller group inside vegetable, and legume itself has different types, which are chickpeas, beans, soybean, and etc. So in similar to the real world example that we're giving, okay, we have vegetable object and legume object. In programming, we also categorize our objects according to their common feature that they're sharing or common behavior that they're sharing. So, and we can implement this hierarchy in programming as well by creating different classes. So you see here in this hierarchy diagram that our top level is vegetable, and legume has lentil and chickpea. So chickpea and lentil are the kind of legume. So, and they're kind of a children, we call it children of legume. And legume is a type of vegetable, and we call it that it's the legume is a child of this vegetable. So the more formal terms in programming, your top level object in your hierarchy, we call it parent or superclass. And moving on to the next level, legume here is going to be the child of vegetable class or subclass of vegetable class. And chickpea and lentil are the children or subclasses of the legume class. And by the word inheritance, we mean that common similar features that they're sharing. So we're saying legume is inheriting from vegetable. That means they are sharing the same common features and behavior. So that what we mean inheritance in classes. So you can check out this terminology summary here, but let's move on to see how this hierarchy works in Android Studio. So if you guys still recall, last week we learned about view and view groups, and we use buttons to roll our dice. So I mentioned before as well that views, buttons, and all of those view components that you use in your Android Studio to build your app, they have their own built-in classes in Android Studio that it's ready for you. You just need to use it. Their structure is also in hierarchical way. So, when we're speaking of hierarchy levels, we're speaking of inheritance and classes. So the first and top level in Android Studio is view, and view goes to text view, and text view goes to edit text, buttons, imageries, and so on and so on. So, and if you look at the codes inside your main activity class, you see that how are the hierarchical codes it's showing to you. So moving on to the next session of this track. So we're having this example. We're gonna start with practicing in Playground to implement this given hierarchy here. This hierarchy we're studying on the top level with D-Link, and then this D-Link, which is the description it's giving here, it's a base class representing non-specific shelter that holds information that is common to all D-Links. And this D-Link is a parent for square, cabin, and round hut. So in description it says square cabin is made of wood and its square floor area. And round hut is made of straw and it's a circular floor area, and it's the parent of round tower that we're having here in this hierarchy diagram. And round tower is made of stone, and it also circular floor area, but with the difference that it has multiple stories or multiple floors. So let's move on to Kotlin Playground to see how we can implement this hierarchy in Kotlin. So I'm going to send this link to you guys. Start our coding in Kotlin. Okay. If you guys still recall how we were calling and making our classes in Kotlin, we have to type class and followed by the name of the class that we want, and braces and curly braces. But here in our definition, the description given, it says D-Link class is a base class. So how are we exactly sure that this is a base class in Kotlin? How we tell Kotlin this is my base class? So there is one keyword that called abstract. For making your base class, you have to have this abstract keyword before making your class, followed by its name. And let's see right now what's the difference between abstract class and the normal class that we were doing last week. So we said that classes are the blueprint of your object, but abstract class is one level down. It's one level lower than your blueprint. You can consider it as your object sketch. So you're sketching your object with it, and it's not as completed as a blueprint or a normal class. And since it's not complete, it's not fully implemented, and we cannot instantiate this class. What do we mean by instantiating? So if we want to create one instance object of this class in our main function, and if you run the app, you're gonna have an error. Let's try it. So I'm gonna call variable D-Link equal to D-Link. I'm making an instance of this object, and if I run it, I'm going to get an error that it says cannot create an instance of an abstract class. So why is that the case? It's because this abstract class is a base class. it sketches your feature of your object, but it doesn't just hold a particular value. It's kind of empty. So you cannot actually create an object instance because it's not fully implemented. So moving on, let's try to complete our sketch in Duolingo class. So what are the common features that buildings they can have? So first of all, we can have a property called building material. So I'm going to create a building material property and assign it to be string type. And the next feature we can have is the capacity of a building. So we need a capacity variable, and we give the type to be integer. So right now, if you try to run this, you're gonna get an error, and it's saying that property must be initialized or be abstract. So here, by just saying a variable, but just naming a variable and then give it type inside the abstract class, you cannot run it unless this variable is also abstract itself, or you should give it a value. But we don't want to give it a value because it's a base class and we're going to change it in other classes. So we just need to put abstract keyword before these variables. All right. So now we want also this dealing class have we want to have ability in this class to customize it in a way that we can pass a parameter inside this class, and that parameter is going to initialize how many residents this dealing class can have. So we want when we're creating our object, basically what we want to do is when we're creating our object is to also initialize and pass this desired value of number of residents into the class. So just like last week we learned about classes customization, how we're going to do it is just by assigning a value, a variable, and we call it resident, and we give integer type. And so if we want to try to make the instance object of this dealing, we have to pass the parameter of number of residents to be able to call on this dealing class. So now let's move on thinking of the functions that we can have in dealing class. So there is, since we're having number of residents and number of capacities, we can also find out if our building has enough room or not. So we're going to create a function and call it has room. And we're going to assign this function to have Boolean type. So since we're saying to have a Boolean type, we have to give it a return statement. And if you still recall, last week we learned about Boolean operators. So here, since we're having a number of residents and capacity, we can just easily say if a number of residents is lesser than the capacity, so we're having enough room. So this by default is going to return true if the operator is true, and otherwise it's going to return false. So I guess that's all for the dealing class. This is our sketch of the first top level we're having here. Next, moving on to create our square cabin, which is made of wood. So if you try to run this, you're not going to receive any error and no output. So moving on, creating our class square cabin. So just a normal class that we used to create before, we do the same class square cabin. Yeah, we created the class, but we need to specify in coding that this square cabin is a child of dueling, and he inherits everything that it's in dueling class. In how do we do that in Kotlin? So just like how we were assigning a type of variable to your function, it's kind of the same. You're kind of saying that this square cabin is a dueling type. But if you try to run this right now, you're going to face a lot of errors. First of all, this dueling is carrying a parameter inside it. We have to do the same here when we're saying this square cabin is a type of dueling. So we have to specify we have to pass and specify this parameter. And we just easily pass this resident in dueling as well. But still, if you want, okay, we minimized by one error, but we still have one error to fix. So this error is basically saying that you are inheriting from dueling, and this dueling has a build material and capacity member or property. So by saying this abstract and initializing, kind of declaring our variable here, and by using this abstract class, we're kind of promising to this variable that we're going to we're going to assign you your value later. So here we have to define what are those values. So in the description, we're having the building material is, oh my god, building material is wood. And let's say the capacity is 4. So right now we're assigning the value. Let's try and run. Yeah, we see that we're facing 2 errors here. Let's see what are those errors. So here, by this error, it's basically saying that when you are using the same variable that it's in your parent class, you're trying to change it. So you have to show Kotlin that you are making these changes. And how to show that changes, it says that you need modifier, and that modifier is override. So we just need to put a keyword of override behind this 2 of this variable. Square cabin string is defined. Square cabin is not abstract to implement. All right. Oh, why is the override nothing? Oh, yeah, I'm misspelling the building. Yeah, so it should work right now. Yeah. So, right now, let's try to print out some of the variables. Let's create an instance object from this square cabin and try to print out some of these variables. So I'm gonna create variable and name it square cabin and square cabin. So I'm creating the class, and I want the resident number should be, let's say, 3. So if you check out in this part. So it's asking you to print out something like this, that this is your square cabin, and type out your capacity, type out your material, and if it has room or not. So I'm just gonna copy this, but for your own practice, you guys can try and print out all of this by yourself. So let's try and run this one now. So we see that we're accessing capacity, and it shows us floor and material, which is wood here, and if it has enough of room or not. It says true. And because we're putting the number of residents as 3 and capacity is as 4. So yeah, it's printing, we don't have any error. But there is one thing that we want to do here. If you look at your print statement, and if you still recall that we learned how to point out to our functions and property while you want to access them. So you have to type out your variable name that you created, your instance object, followed by a dot, and then try to call on the variables or the methods. But in programming, we want to minimize repeating some stuff over and over. So there is one way to avoid doing this square cabin, square cabin, square cabin. So, and how that happens is by this method, which is called with, and followed by parentheses. So how this with work? Okay, I'm gonna read this function for you guys. With, I'm gonna put square cabin instance object that I just created here. So how am I reading this is with this square cabin, do some stuff. So this with basically work for only instance objects that you create from your classes. So I'm gonna copy all of this inside this method. And right now we can just get rid of this square cabin repeating here. And if we try to run, we should be able to get the same output. Yes. So we avoid that repetition of square cabin with these lines of code. So now let's move on and create our round hot class. So it says that the material type is straw. So I'm gonna copy exactly the same thing and paste it here. For simplicity, I'm just gonna change the name of class round hot, and it is also inheriting from dealing, but we change this material to straw. And let's keep the capacity to, let's change it to 5. And if we run, we shouldn't get any errors, so it's fine. The next class that we have to implement and create is our round tower. This round tower is made of wood, and it's a child of round hot. So I'm gonna copy the same thing, but just change the name to be faster. So this is round tower. And instead of inheriting from dealing, we inherit from round, and we change the material type to stone. And let's keep the capacity as the same it is, and let's try to run. Okay, we have an error. Let's see what is this error. So it says that this type, which is referring to class, is final. So you cannot inherit from this class. So why when we were trying to inherit from dealing class that we were creating our square cabin and round hard, we didn't face this error, but when we were trying to inherit from round hard, it gives us this error. So in Kotlin, basically, by default, when you are creating your class, it's always a final type. A final type means you cannot change it and they're fixed. So you're not able to inherit from a normal class like this. It has to be either abstract class, or there is another way that your class should be open, should has open keyword before the class and then its name. So right now, if you try to run, you see that we don't have the error anymore. So with this open word, we made this round heart to be open, so it's not final anymore. So we can inherit the features from round heart. So for your practice, try to make variables the same square cabin for round heart and round tower, and print the same thing as we did with function here, and see and try to play around with it. But right now, I'm going to move to another concept that we have to learn here. So till now, we were working and changing the variable type and the variable values here. And even though that we were inheriting the variable from this dealing class, but we were changing its value in different classes. And this function here is also the same in all the classes. We're inheriting the same function from it. But let's see if there is one function that the action of that function, or the purpose of doing that function, is the same in all of these, but the difference is its body. Its body is different according to that particular class. So you see in the description given here that we have to calculate the area of square cabin, round heart, and round tower. So we need to have a function that we calculate the floor area. So we're going to start with dealing class, since it's all the same. The function is all the purpose of the function is all the same in all the classes, but the difference is the body is different. So we're going to make the function and call it floor area, and we assign double type to it. And if you try to run, you're going to face an error with this, and that error is the same that we already had earlier on with building material and capacity, because we're not having a body for this floor area. It's our sketch, and it doesn't contain any particular value, or the function doesn't have any body. So this function also has to has to have this abstract keyword with it. So then, only then we're going to be able to override our function. This time we're going to override our function instead of a variable. So in square cabin, we're going to override this function floor area, which is double type. So why double type is actually, so the unit of calculating the area is going to be a floating number. So the unit is meter or centimeter, so it's not integer. So that's why we keep assigning it to have the double type. So Here, since we're giving it this type, we have to return the value of this type. So what's the, you guys all of you should know that how to calculate the area for a square. So it's length to the power of 2. So we have to multiply length by itself. But we're not actually having this variable anywhere. But what we can do is just like how we were customizing our class before and giving resident number to this, we can also customize it to assign this past the length parameter, and we say that this is double type. So right now, if you try to run, you're gonna get an error because the instance object that we created in main function, the parameter inside this is only the number of residents. Now it has to follow the length. Let's give it length of 4.0. Yeah, so we modified the function for square cabin. Now let's move on for round hut. So I'm going to copy the same thing here and paste it in my round hut. But the difference is round hut is a circle, and the floor and the area for a circle is the number pi, the mathematical pi, which is a unique number, followed by multiplying it by square to the, radius to the power of 2, radius of the circle to the power of 2. But how are we going to get this pi number? So I guess you guys know that it's the pi number is 3 point something. So, and we don't know the exact value. So how are we going to access this? How we get this pi is, okay, in programming, our work is easier. We can just use external library and import those library into our project and use the mathematical values like pi or any other functions operation that it's in math, and you're going to be able to use it by importing those from math library. So for importing a library, make sure that the code has to be on top of your project, on top of all of your code. So we start importing. We're going to call on Kotlin. We're saying Kotlin, get the math library and then get the pi number. And here we're going to use that pi number and then multiply it by radius, and again multiplying by radius. So just like length of square, we don't have the radius for round hut. So we'll do a customization here, and we're going to get it from a function when we're creating the object instance of this object. So wow, radius type is double. All right, so moving on to round tower. So first of all, this round tower has one difference to this round hut, which is multiple floors. So just like the length and radius, we customize the class for its for round hut. We customize it to receive the radius, and square cabin to receive this length. So for round tower, we have to receive this these floors also. So just we customize it to receive the number of floors when we're making our object, and we can give it the type integer. And for capacity, we just have to multiply this capacity by floors, because the capacity of 5 is for one floor. If we want to get the capacity of the whole tower. So we obviously have to multiply by the number of floors. So now let's try to make the function of calculating its area. So here, one thing that I forgot to mention. So when you're doing your customization, if you don't want to, when you're creating your object in your main activity, if you don't want to pass the particular parameter and you always want to use a default value, you can just give it a value right away inside these parentheses. I'm just going to give 2 by default. But if you are creating your round tower instance object in your main activity, if you don't pass the parameter value for these floors, it's going to by default accept these 2. But if you try to change it, you just pass your desired number and it's going to just give it to the floors. But make sure that when you're creating your variable, you're making your object instances inside your main, make sure that you follow the same order of parameter you're having here. All right, so let's move back to the floor area. So this floor, I'm going to remove this for now. This floor area, we're inheriting from dealing and comes down to round tower. But this round tower is inherited from round hut. So since both of them are circular shape, we're basically, if we add the same statement here, pi multiplied by radius to the statement, return statement here, we're doing it again. So we said, we also said that earlier, we don't want to repeat stuff over and over. Let's just use this ability that we're having once we're inheriting from round hut. Let's just use this opportunity because we're inheriting from round hut. So basically we have to get the same statement, but with the difference that we have to multiply by number of floors that we're having here. So for that, how are we telling this round tower, okay, inherit everything from round hut, and that's by the keyword of super. And with this super keyword, you're gonna actually inherit everything from round hut. And right now we want to just access the return statement in floor area. So we're gonna point out to floor area function followed by parentheses, but with the difference that we have to multiply it by floors. All right, and that's going to make our function that it calculates floor area. But we're missing one thing here, and that's the radius. Since this super is going to call on super floor area is going to call and get the statement from here, we're missing the radius in round tower. We have to specify and customize our round tower as well to receive this radius. So we're going to do the same and pass the radius parameter here and assign it to have a double type. So that was all for inheritance. You guys continue on. You can explore more on this and try to print out, try to make more of these objects and play around with it and try to print out all of these statements here. All right, is there any question till now?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Can you go back to the Kotlin background?
Yes.
Yeah. If you see the last class round tower, right? Don't we need to pass the radius to round hut at the end? Yeah.
Pass it. Oh, yeah.
just like you did with dueling.
Yeah. We have to, yeah. Yeah, because, yeah, you're right. I forgot actually. Because this round hot is receiving two parameters. So when we're inheriting from it, we have to pass it. So we pass radius. True. So any more? Thank you for mentioning that. And any more question? Okay, I guess no. So let's move on. So this is the summary, and you can learn more on these given sources here. Let's move on to the second code lab, which is actually the fourth code lab here. All right, I'm just gonna keep this as the reference here because we have to create the UI of our tip calculator. I'm gonna keep this here and refer back to it time to time. So go ahead, create your project. For me, because it takes a bit time for me to build the project. So I already created before. So make sure that, as always, when you're creating your project, choose the Kotlin language. And we're gonna try to make the UI as it's given here. So open your main activity and let's try go step by step. First of all, we're having an edit text. Let's click on text and put edit text. But our edit text has a type input type. So the input type here, you see it says cost of service. So it's a decimal number. So the edit text should be a decimal type to receive a decimal type input. So we learned about how to do constraint last week. And these are the margin unit that you can give to this. I'm just going to give 16. And we see that there is one text here that it says cost of service. We learned that how to change the text last week, but here it's not the text, it's the hints that tells you what to type in. So the hint is cost of service. And this section, we're going to do a bit more of work and customize our own ID to give our own custom ID to the view components in our Android Studio. So here, we're going to make the ID to be cost of service, but, oh, where did it go? Okay. ID cost of service. So for good practice and adopt a good coding practice, it's better the warning we talked about it last week that it shows you that you have to put this text that you get and you have given to your component. It's better to put it in string XML code here. So if you just try to click on fix, auto fix, it's gonna fix itself and it's gonna be added here. But right now mine is actually having a problem because my Android version is a bit old. But let's imagine and that I did it and you guys try to do it in your own Android Studio. Each time that you're getting this warning, try to avoid it. It's your app is still gonna run, but try to avoid it just for sake of having adopting to good programming. So next thing is this text view that it says how was the service. Let's move it here. So let's see what's the size that it's asking us. The width is 160 and the height is wrap content. 160 dp, and the height is wrap content, and then the text is how was the service, and the ID is service question. They're asking us to give the ID to service question. Refactor. Okay, now we have to make the constraint. I'm gonna put the constraint to the bottom of this edit text and the left margin to the parent. And let's keep this unit to 16. On top, let's keep it to 20. So now let's a bit enlarge our text size. Text size. Text size. Let's keep it to 18. It's too much. Let's give it to 15. Okay. Okay. Next component is, okay, these multiple choices in Android Studio, they called radio group and radio button. So for having a multiple radio button, we have to have a radio group. So I'm gonna drag and drop a radio group, but I'm gonna make the width to match constraint, match parent, and wrap content for the height. And let's do the constraint to the left and right, but let's give it 16 to 16 from left and right. Okay, right now you don't see the content here because the height is wrap content, but once we add the radio button, it's inside this, so you're going to be able to see your radio buttons. So I'm going to drag and drop this radio button just under these radio group as its children. And two more. Okay, now let's try to edit. The first one, the text is amazing 20%. Let's give the ID as it asks us to give the ID to option 20%. I'm just gonna copy it so it will be faster. Okay, refactor. Next, the text is good 80%. And the ID they're asking us, option 18%. Refactor. Okay, and OK is 15. And its ID option 15%. These IDs are really important if you name them according to what you see here, because it's going to make your work easier when you start your coding. You know that what's this button actually do, and when you want to find your buttons in your views, so it's going to be easier to have an ID that it's clear enough what is referring to, what view it is referring to. So, and then next view component we're having is a switch button that it says round up tip. So a switch button, drag and drop. So I'm gonna make the width to match parent and then height wrap content. Let's make the margins here. Let's keep this to 16 and 16. So, and I'm gonna put the constraint at the top of this switch constraint to the bottom of this radio group. And also okay, for this radio group, we're having this error here, this red warning, and it says that we have to have a vertical constraint also. So I'm going to just put it to the bottom of this text view. Let's just move it a bit to the top. Okay. Let's have 50 distance. All right, so the text here, it says round up tip. And the ID given is round up switch. All right. The next component is a button that we did a lot till now. Drag and drop. Make the width to match constraint, the height to match parent. Give the constraint and top constraint to the bottom of round tip. Let's move it a little to the top. So since we gave the margin to the left and right for everyone to be 16, let's do the same for the button. Next, we have tip amount here. It's a text view. Yeah, it's the text view that it shows the result. After calculating, you're going to get your result here. So the same thing as we did till now. It's the button. So when you're doing your constraint in Android Studio, make sure that your component inside your constraint layout, or the view component inside it at least has to have one horizontal and one vertical constraint. Otherwise, it's going to give you that red error that I had for radio button. So the text here is tip amount, and the ID is tip result. Let's move it up a bit. Okay. So now we got similar result as here. And as I said before, I'm going to mention it again. So these are all the warning that when you add a text or a hint, which is a text, it's better to add those into your string XML file here, which right now my Android Studio, it's not doing it automatically and we don't have that much of time. So, but your result in your string XML file inside your resource file has to be similar to this here. So that was all for the Kotlin 3 and 4. Let's have a break, and Yen is going to continue on making this app to fully function. Is there any question?
All right, so we wait until 10:15. Let's have a break for 3 minutes first. All right, I guess it's already 10:15, so let's just begin. Oh yeah. So just now this app is just we just code for the user interface, right? Just like what you see inside your app. But actually to let it fully functional, we have to think more about it also. Like the way how we will design to make it really fully functional. Because normally in a team, right, you will have like one team who is responsible for doing this, like the interface stuff, like what you see, the app that you see, the layout. And then there's another team that normally will do those stuff like the behind the logic stuff, like when you, for example, you press this calculate button and then it will show up. So normally, yeah, that's two teams. So basically, for now, we are going to dive into this part, which is calculate the tip. So we just jump straight to this third part. That is basically the way like you can start getting the data from like from this, because you see there's some editable text and then radio button, those that can be chosen or can be input by the user. So for now, we will try to get the data first before we start to really calculate it. Yeah. So at first, we have to do something that's called view binding. So let's just do the step first. So the first one is just go to this app. Yeah, build your grader. So you see there's two files here, but the one you choose should be the one with the module thing here, the app. Yeah. So that's here when you click here. Yeah, and then you scroll to, if you just follow along, you just go to below this build tools version, then below that you just key in this stuff, like view binding equals to true. So this basically does is it enables when you build out the project, it will like a link to link your user interface to this main activity, which we will do those calculation part. And then after we put in this view binding equals to true, like we activate this linking, and then in this main activity, we also have to set up a binding object. Yeah, it's just an object, and then we we just use this and then use this activity main binding dot inflate. So this basically means we just like it's serve as a connector, like a connector to connect those user interface, like those what is input by the user, and then it brings all the data that's being input from the user and then bring towards here. So we can get those data by using this binding object here, because we already initialize this binding equals to this activity binding dot inflate. Yeah, so this dot inflate, it seems abstract, but it's just like getting those data and then it bringing out to this binding object. Yeah, and then it set this content view equals to root. That is basically the initial part of this hierarchy. So you see this, there's something new here, late init. So you see, if I do normally that, so var binding equals to this, it will cause an error, because you see, property must be initialized, because it seems like I haven't initialized this yet. So, but actually for this line, we actually don't know what to initialize this, right? Yeah. So we can use something like late init. So this late initting is very useful, especially when we want to do something like we want to delay the initialization, because like when we for this line, we still don't know what we should initialize for this object. But when we are calling this function, we are certainly know what is what is being initialized. Like so, because when you call this, we are so certain about the initialization, but at here we still don't know what we should put to initialize it. Yeah, then this late init is very useful. So we can put this at here first. Yeah, hope you can understand it. And then yeah, it promise your code will initialize the variable before using it. So because you see just now, if you didn't use it, yeah, it will cause an error. And then just now, if I erase this, it also like it brought up like a thing to ask us to add this modifier. Yeah. So Android Studio is also helping us to solve our problem, our error. Yes. So right now we can use just use this binding object to really get the data by using some simple syntax like binding dot. So this my button is actually something like this. Yeah, it's actually this ID. Yeah, for this ID. Like if you want to get the data from the edit text, you just binding dot cost of service. But this cost of service need to be camel case, like this O and S is capital letter, like the first letter is small, and then dot text. So you can basically get the text by using this binding dot this ID, then dot text. Yeah, you just basically get the text from this editable text view. So we just next, and then yeah, after this, like, okay, so yeah, so after you get this object, right? After you have this object binding object, you can also start to set this click listener. So this at this word sounds, because it's a listener. So you basically think like listener is listen to something, like listen to something that is calling or is what is saying to you. Yeah. So this binding is just when you set this on click listener, means on click means you click it and then you listen to this click, and then inside this curly bracket, you just put in this function like when the user click on that button, what will happen? Yeah, it listen to this click and then it will call this method. So what will happen after you click the button is actually this function here. So you can write this function here outside this whole thing here, but it's still inside the class because you still need to access those binding object. Yeah. So you set this on click listener, binding dot calculate button on click listener. Because this calculate button, right, you see the ID. Yeah, you have to make sure this calculate button is like this. If this ID is different, like it's just, for example, it just calculate, and then here you just see, you just say binding dot calculate, and then dot set on click listener. Yeah, and then bracket is just this function. So you just write all those calculation logic inside this function here. Yeah. All right. So the first one you see here, we go from the top, right? So the top part is cost of service. So the first one, we need to get the data, right? So at here, it says that it declare a new variable and then say to this. It seems correct, right? But actually, if you try out, it will cause some error if you later on you use this and then you think this is a string, but because this thing here is actually from edit text, so it's like an edit text object. It's actually not a string, although you like key in that cost, you think the field that you key in should be a string, but it's actually not in this case because it's actually an edit text object. Yeah. So if you put this here, so this thing here now is just the edit text object. It's not a string. So maybe if you want to convert it to integer or maybe double to do the calculation, it will not work because it's an object. So if you want to convert it to integer or string or double, you need to first convert it to string first because there's no function to convert like this edit text object to integer or double. So you need to convert to string first and then use this to string and then you use dot to double. Yeah. So you convert to string and then to double. So you basically can get this cost by this method. I just put it here. Yeah, basically this cost is what the user type in double form. Yeah, so the cost of service is done. So the second one, we move to this, those percentage. So this part is the radio button. Yeah, first one, you need to know that the radio button, the data that we want to get is actually from those radio button that we have, that the user have checked. Yeah, so we just use this first. Yeah, this basically says that dot tip ocean. Yeah, is from this group. That's the meaning is from this group, this whole radio group, you look which of this is being checked. Yeah, you see dot check radio button ID. Yeah, you get those the radio button that's being checked, and then you put it inside this selected ID. And then you need to see which button is actually checked by user. Yeah, so last week we have learned about this when, right? It's basically just like if else, but it's more like a more friendly syntax for beginners. Yeah, you can use like this because there's three possibilities for this tip percentage. So we just use equals to when and then this select ID is just what you have initialized. So yeah, when this thing here is when the check radio button is this 20%, and then you need to return this for this percentage those this variable. So after that, this tip percentage will have 0.2, and then later on will be used to calculate. And then if 18%, you just use number like this and then else. Yeah. So this is the way you get the value from this radio button, radio groups. Yeah. So right now it's basically just like this. And then we still got one switch like you can use to like round up, because normally you want to round to something that's easier for like to say out or to pay or to return, right? Yeah, so it provides a function to round up. So this is a switch, but before this we know that some of this the tip is just multiplication of this percentage that we get here, and then with the cost, but we have the possibility to round up also. Yeah, so it's the same thing here. We see whether it's being checked or not by using this binding dot that switch is checked. So this is the attribute of this switch. So the switch view has special attribute like this is checked to see whether the switch is checked by the user or not. And then yeah, this one, so if round up means if this is true, so you use a math function here from the libraries. So this dot seal means to round up. And then if you want to maybe specify, be more specific again, like you want to round up or round down, you just use like dot floor for round down. But at here we just consider one of the case. We just consider round up. So if the user check that switch, we just run this logic to really round that thing up. Yeah. So in the end, it's just like this. So looks like we already finished the logic of the calculation, right? But actually we can do better, like we do those more prettier stuff, like because normally when you want to display it, like you want to display it like in the form of maybe dollar something or whatnot, and then so you can use something like this. We just use this number the format class, and then you just get those currency in turn, and then this format. So basically you just get the currency, like the type of currency, and then use dot format. So just like this. Yeah, when you see an error, import. Yeah, so there's two here. The one that we choose is this one, java.text one. So hopefully the error is gone. And then we have to display it also. So to display it, you see here, right? Yeah, we have to maybe something we have to do this like this percent and then this s. So it's basically like a placeholder for what we will put it here. So we will put the value that we calculated at here. So we want to tell the app that we want to put in a format like this, tip amount, then column, and then this part we leave a blank space here, and then this part here we just put in the value that we have calculated. Yeah, because if for just now this is just tip amount, like it will not show up any value after you click on the calculate, because it's just like this. You didn't provide a space for it to be contained. Yeah. And then okay. So for this one is to set that display the result of the calculation. You set this the text equals to this one, you get that thing here. So you get this tip amount, the dot, and then percent s, and then this you comma this formatted tip. So it basically put the value from this formatted tip inside this. Yeah. So if your calculation is correct, so hopefully it will just put it here and then it will just display it. So yeah, hopefully it will just display it. Yeah, at this point is like this for this part. And then say you are almost there. So you can also add this one here, activity underscore main, and then find the tip result text view. Yeah, tip result, you have to like you can see through tip result, and then oh yeah, for now for this one I already add this here. Yeah, this one is basically like a display. So normally if the user started to run like this, you don't want to just you want to like put a initial number for it, right? So it will not look a bit weird. So for this case, we can also put maybe zero. So like when the user start the app, he will see zero because it haven't start to click the calculate, right, or start input anything. So you can initialize it to be zero at start. Yeah. And then so after that, hopefully it will just run through those stuff here, and then it will calculation will be shown up. Yeah. So you can also put 10 or whatever value you want. Yeah. Hopefully when you run through the app, you can actually successfully get the value that you want. So next, this part is test and debug. So it seems like we have successfully code out all those logic and solve all the problem, right? But it there is something we should consider also. Like when the user run the app, what if he suddenly click on the calculate button without actually put in any cost? Because we haven't include the logic that handles where he or she input this empty cost in service, right? It actually still can run, but this run will cause the app to have an error because you didn't start to handle it. You didn't start to handle those like those now value inside the cost of service edit text, for example. Yeah. So it says that when run, your your program will be crashed, and then you will see some exception like this. And then so to solve this thing here, you can just put in here those string in text. When you start to convert to double, you also consider it to be null case. Yeah. So for right now, it just we also consider it as a null case. So this cost can be null when the user didn't really input something. Yeah. So you just add in some logic like this one below this. Because it to double and now. So if it is really now that is not being input by the user, it will run through this and then it will just return. Yeah. This return mean it actually will not run all this code here. And then you just return this method without running and without displaying anything here. Because normally when the user didn't input anything, you don't want to show maybe some weird value, right? So you just return, you just don't do anything. So hopefully for now you can already solve that now problem. Yeah. So this one is just another case. So for example, because when it or she didn't input anything, you want to, for example, you want to make it become become empty again. So but because for example if the calculation shown is 100 after you calculate, but he didn't put any number, you don't want to maintain those display, those value to be like 10 or 100 still. Yeah, you want to make it become zero because he or she actually didn't input anything. Yeah, so you can just add something here and set it equal to empty. Yeah, this one will clear that amount before returning. So when you return, it just so like nothing because you didn't want to give it some weight value when the user didn't really input something. So this part is just for good coding practice. Like this one, you calculate tip here. They got some warning here. Like this one can be private because you don't want other people like inside another class to really access this function. Like yeah, you want this to just work behind the logic. So it will suggest you to put it as private. Yeah. And then this part here is also show this one also can be private. Yeah. You don't want other people to access this binding object also. So this one for selected ID. This one it say variable declaration could be inline. What it say is because you just put this binding object and then you just initialize in this and then you use this inside this one. So you can actually shorten this code by just putting all these things here to replace this one because it seem although it maybe seem like more understandable, but it makes the code longer for one more line. So actually you can ignore this also, but for good coding practice, we want to ensure like the variable is as less as possible because once you initialize or declare the variable, it will actually take some memory space. So after you maybe you run or you publish, it will cause your app to run slower. So you want to avoid this as good as we can. So we just over to this and then we just click inline variable. Yeah. So we just one bracket, it will not use up a new variable. So yeah, remove unnecessary variable. And then all this stuff is just for other good coding practice that you should adopt when you try to code. So this part is just a solution. You can go to this part here and then you can export it one more time. And then there's a summary for this. And so just next. So this activity in this pathway is basically just like calculate what you have put in the layout and then really put it in a calculation. So the next one after calculate the theme. So we start to explore the theme. So the theme, you guys it maybe right. It's just the light theme, the dark theme, all this stuff. All this one it just right. Yeah, it's just like light theme, the dark theme. It's just a theme for your app. So let's just begin try to explore. Yeah, this part is more to some like design stuff, like those color about those color stuff, like this thing here, the one that you probably familiarize with, this the RGB, the red, green, blue value with the order like this, and then this alpha is basically mean transparency, FF means opaque, and then 00 means more transparent. Yeah, it's basically like this. So if explore because this one we already explore this string XML, but we had didn't really explore this theme and the color yet. So for right now, we'll look at it. Yeah. So for this, let's just go to another. Yeah. So this color here, yeah, like this you can specify. So the default value here is FF. So it means fully opaque. This is the default value for this alpha channel. And then this red, green, blue. You see also this color also being specified. So if you key in some wrong value, you can also detect this one, whether you see the color is really what you want or not. So the next one. So this one, if you already forgot how to create a new empty activity project, you can also follow this step here. But because I already created in this, so I'll just follow along, keep through along. So this part here, the string part, yeah, it's like this. So for this part, the layout is look like this one. The layout is just put like that one. So this one, the color, all this thing, string, then the layout is like this one. Yeah. So this is the final product if you follow along this activity. And then this is the starting point here. So we just look at this part first. So this one, dependency. So if you want to use the all those material dependency thing here, you should probably go to this with Gradle, and then this one dependency. It asks us to replace this line. Yeah, originally this line is like this, but you change to this material dependency. Yeah, so we just treat it as like we need it, so we can use those material design stuff from Android. And then this theme part here, it asks us to like create a new file. But actually, when we use this, we already got, when we use the latest Android Studio, we already got this theme, and then this light theme, dark theme. We already have the two file. So for now, we just ignore this part because we already have these two theme here. So for the later part, this part is for the light theme. And then if you follow along, you just put this. It's just about those primary color, secondary color, nothing else. We will explore more. And then yeah, about the theme color. So this is basically 12 name attribute. You can also look at this later on. And then what is being special is you see primary, secondary, all this. But this all this got on. So what is on? Like is the color that's used for text and icon draw on different surface. Like the the text and icon, the view that's being drawn on different surface. Yeah, that's on the surface. On the other surface, yeah, basically is about this on is related to this. And then for later part, you also notice something here. Color.sml. Yeah, it's basically just almost the same as that as just now what we have seen. Yeah, inside this lighting here, you see those add color. Yeah, it means it refers to this color resource. Yeah, basically it's the same like the layout that you have seen like at string uh, previous weeks. So we just next. Yeah, this part here is a little bit interesting maybe about the color. So this is actually a web that's being built by the material design team of Android. And then this is useful, especially when you want to think what color you want when you want to design a new app. Like this, when you click on this primary, you can choose any color that you like. For example, choose this one. And then you pair with another secondary color. You see if it is really suitable or not. Yeah, this part can explore further on. Yeah, you choose the pairs of color, and then you see whether it really fits or not. Like the color will it be too dark or too light compared to this color. Yeah, you can look it from this accessibility here. And then so basically, yeah, pick some color. You pick the color like this, so you follow along. You will have this one here. So the value here, like this light blue 700, it's just like this, yeah, 700. And then you go to light blue, you just pick. It's like this. And then after you done picking, you look at this, yeah, how we know the color. So basically you go to this part after you have chosen or you are interested to try it on, you just go to this, yeah, this one, it provide this code for you to really put in here and then specify the alpha value. So you also got some special website for you to view some cool colors. The generator, yeah, you also can generate some cool theme here for you to create this those color that is actually compatible with each other, and then probably you can explore on this one is coolers.co. You just click spacebar to regenerate, and then there's another like option for you to customize on it, like shading, and then you just it also provide this color code. So it's like this. So when you run this, hopefully, yeah, this part you just copy all these thing here, then add color slash green. Yeah, this one slash part, make sure you slash this green, make sure it also contain inside this colors.xml, or else this part will have red error. Yeah, so because it refers to this color resource, like this green is the name. Yeah, so basically you see slash what all those color is being specified in this color.xml. So this part is about the dark theme. So you go to this night dot night theme, and then if you follow along, if you copy paste on this, and then all the value here is also the same, you need to refer on this after you explore for all this color. And then the way you try the dark theme, normally you just open the setting, and then you go and find the display or brightness, because for my case is Huawei or Android, I guess it's almost the same. If you go to setting and then you go to display and brightness, that section, and then there's a switch that you can toggle on and off those night theme, dark theme. So if you use that one, the night theme or light theme that is specified just now, hopefully you can get the result that you want if you toggle on the dark theme or off the dark theme. So basically this is the result if you copy the code from all these activities here. Yeah, so you see in this light theme here, so it this one the color is more darker, because if you put this lighter part, maybe someone with maybe eye issues or whatnot, you probably will see something very not very clear. Yeah, and then if you the background is black, and then the one you choose, you want to consider it lighter, right? Yeah, so it's clearer to see. Yeah, because you want to also improve the user experience, besides the for the user interface that you have coded out. Yeah, you have to look and take care of their user experience also. So this is basically just the my team, and then this is all the code. Yeah, so if you want the code straight, you can also go to this link here, and then you just download that zip file and then extract it, and then just use this file and then open, and then you just got got it here, and then you just click OK or enter, and then you will get all the file here for this activity. So just yeah, that's all for my part. So I guess let's just move to the next part. So I will pass to my teammate Hafiz to continue. So left the activity 7 and 8. So thank you guys.
Okay, guys. I think we have a break until 10:55, so 2 minutes break, and then we resume to the next activity. Okay, time already 10:55, so let's get started. Okay, in this activity, we will learn on how to change the app icon. Okay, so right now, the icon for our app is like this. This is the default icon provided by the Android Studio. So you have icon like this. So if you want to change it, how? You want to change it maybe like this or like this. Okay, how? So before we change it, we need to locate first. Where is the folder? Okay, the folder in app. First of all, you need to open project over here, and then open the project, and then app, source, main, Java, and rest. In here we have many folder. I want to highlight at the map folder. So here we have map HDPI, map MDPI until map XXX HDPI. So what is this? If you open it, you can see there's two image. So you have okay, so we have the square icon, the square icon and the round icon. If we open the triple X, we can see we also have the same image. We have the square icon and the round icon. But what's the difference between this the image, the icon in HDPI and XXX HDPI? So uh if you see this from if you see this from the HDPI, you can see the size is 72 times 72. And for triple X is 192 times 192. Okay, so basically what this is for various screen density. So if you use high end devices that use high pixel density, it will use the high resolution of image. So if you have lower end device, it will use lower resolution image. So with that, we can prevent from blurry image or pixelated icon. Okay, but what is over here? Map any DPI V26. So basically, this means the icon for any DPI means from lower resolution until high resolution. And then V26. V26 is Android version, Android API 26, which means Android 8 and above. So basically, this is for only for Android 8 and above. If you open it, we can see there's two file, also an icon, but this time the file is .sml and not .png. Because why? This is a vector icon, which means this icon can be used for various pixel density screen without the need of specify the type. So basically just one file for all of them. So this file can be scaled up and scaled down. And if you see in here, you can see there's a background tag and foreground tag. And if you see in the drawable, we have two. And this is the foreground and background which is used in this icon. So if we click it, the background is this, the background of the icon, and this is the should be the Android icon like this. So this is the foreground. So yeah. So without further ado, let's create new icon that we will use for our app. So go to view and tool windows and resource manager. Okay, in here, press add resource and image asset. Okay, here, okay, wait, I'm gonna share the link to the file that we're gonna use, the image that we're gonna use for our project in the chat. For the background. So if you click it, you will see a file like this, display like this. So what you need to do is right click and save as, and then save it. Save anything that you can find. Okay, here I already save it, so I will just locate it. For the foreground, pick the foreground image. I put it in my desktop. So desktop and foreground. So I pick the foreground. Okay, now we have the foreground image, like a bell button, service bell button. And then here we also can resize it, big and small. We're gonna leave it 100%. Okay, so here you can see that there's like a mask, right? So a mask will be applied on top of this canvas. So it will only use the icon in this mask to be displayed in the phone. So the next one for background, import the background. Click OK, and okay, the background is green. And then click next. Okay, now what Android Studio will do, it will delete the original file in the icon folder, and it will create the new image for them. So we just click finish. So here we can see the value is changing. We already delete the all icon and we have no icon right now. So yeah, that's basically how to change your app icon. So now we move on to the next activity. In the next activity, we will see on how to optimize our application more. Okay, first, let me show you something. Okay, here you can see that we use text input, right, for this widget. So actually there's a better option. Okay, we use edit text for the widget. So actually there's a better option. I will show you on how to use the component. So let's see. So this is a website named Material Design Component. I will share you the link. Basically, here we have many components that designed by Google for us to use in development. We can use it for Android, web, Flutter, and iOS. So here we have many components at bus bottom, at bus top, maybe cars, and many more. So how to implement it? Just click this. Okay, here we have the demo. We have two design, elevator and outline design. And here also have some description and the documentation. How to implement it, go to implementation tab. And here we have some codes. So just copy and paste in our project and then add some attribute like constraint and width and height like that. So now what we want to do is we want to change this text input. So go back and here the left side, scroll down until you find text fields. So we're gonna use text fields instead of the default one. Okay, here we have two design, fill and outline to style. Okay, so how to implement it? Go to implementation and here just copy and paste to your project. For me, I already put it in my project over here. So I'm just gonna uncomment it. And don't forget to comment the edit text. Okay, to comment this, because we will no longer use this. We will gonna use the new one. So you can see it is changing, right? Okay, first of all, you give this the ID. So just give the ID for the text, edit text that we used before. Give it the ID to this, and then we need to specify the width and height. So for width, I use 160 dp, and for height, I use wrap content. So basically, it will take the original size of it, and then hint, string cost of service, basically the same. And the next one, constraint. This is the important part. If you do not put the constraint, it will like have an error over here. Okay, put the constraint, it will start from the parent, and the top also from the parent top. Okay, and then okay, we have two, we have another thing in here. Okay, what is different between this and this over here and this over here? Okay, so the first one, text input layout, basically the box widget, and text input edit text, basically the like the font in this in here. So here you will need to give it some ID. So the ID is cost of service edit text. So you can name it anything, but you will need to use it later. And then give it width and height, width mesh parent, height wrap content. And then the last one is very important, input type, number decimal. Because why we use number decimal? Because we will use this only to input the number, right? The number or decimal number. So if we click it, it will show the number keyboard instead of full keyboard that have words. It will show only numbers. So yeah, that's basically how you change this default component into the material component default created by Google. So here you can delete this, the one that you commented. Okay, now should be no error here. And then you also can change this switch over here to the component switch. So I already made it. So just change it like this. Okay. Now we are done we are done in the first activity to change the component from default one to material component. The next one, we want to add some icons. So actually icon give the user some ideas on what is this for. Let's say we have a button that have a dustbin icon. So what does mean? So the user know, okay, this is for delete. And also pencil icon. When the user see, okay, the user will know this is for edit button. Okay, so icon sometimes very important to the application. Now what I want to do is you want to add some icon over here. You want to add icon beside of this cost of service. So first we need to import first the icon. Go to view, to Windows, and resource manager. Click plus over here, and in here click vector asset. Vector asset. Okay, in here we can, if you click at clip art over here, you can choose many type of icon that you want. So I will go with the one that I want to use is baseline store. So here you also can specify the size 34 pixel, the default is 34 pixel, and you also can specify the color. Let's say I want the color of green. So just insert the number, hex number for green. And then the next one is nice. Okay, you also can specify the opacity. If you make it 50%, it will look like this, and 100% it will look like this. And then click next. And the studio will paste the icon in the drawable file and click finish. So now we already have the icon in our file. So the next that we want to do is we want to add the icons. First, we need to identify where where we want to add. So we want to add beside the left side of this text field, right? So this is the text field. So we need to put it up of this, and then in the constraint. So I already put it. You need to make a tag name image view. In there, you put an ID, name icon, cost of service. You can put any ID that you want. It's up to you. But I'm gonna go with icon, cost of service, because that will explain. This is icon for the cost of service. And next one, specify the width and height. We already put it. I put it wrap content. So it will take the 24 pixel that we already made it. Where they already specify for the icon size. And then for the next one, important for accessibility, place it no. because this is for decoration purpose only, is not so important. Next one, constraint. Okay, so here we have wait, I want you to see the start. Okay, start. So it will start at the start of parent. So it will start at the left side, and then for the top and bottom, I will put it the bottom of the constraint. The bottom of this icon will have the constraint from the bottom of the text field over here, and same as the top. So it will have the top of this text field. So what will it do actually? It will it will centrally vertical with this widget over here. So it will look nice lah, look much better. And that's why you need to specify the image, the icon. So the file is in drawable. IC baseline. This is the number of the name of the icon. So the next one we want to give, because right now the icon and the text field is overlapping. So we need to adjust the text field to move to the right a bit. So in this text field, we need to change this start. Instead of start from parent, it will start at the end of the icon. So end of icon. Okay. Okay, instead of end of parent, okay, my bad, end of the icon. So just copy this icon over here and place it in the parent. Change it. Okay, now it already looks much better. It's not overlapping, but right now I think it's a little too close with the icon. So what we need to do is we need to add some margin. So just type in here, Android layout margin at start, and here specify the margin size. I want to put 16 dp. Okay, now it looks much better now. So yeah, that's how you insert icon in your project. So okay, right now maybe we want to align all of this question with this cost of service. So go to the text view of this question. Change it, instead of start of parent, we're gonna change it start of cost of service. Let's see if this gonna work. Okay, it looks much better now. So beside here, you all can try yourself and try to add some icons beside the question over here. So if it looks more nice. Okay, the next one what we want to do is we want to add style. So here we have text view. We want to give it a style, some style. So okay, before I forgot, after you change this component, right, you need to change your method over here, because before this we use okay, let's see. Before this, in this calculate tip, we use cost of service ID. So instead, I want to use the new one. Oops. I want to use the new one. The new ID is cost of service edit text ID, because before this we use the text input, but right now we use text input edit text. So just delete the old one and insert the new one. Basically just change the ID, and yeah, that's basically it. Change the name of the ID over here. And man, let's see later. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to give this some styles, and here left side here, click on values and create a new file named styles. Okay, in here we have some attributes, have some XML version, coding, and then the next one we want to insert resource tag. Okay, in here we want, like I said before, we want to customize the text view, right? So this is what we're gonna put. First, create style text, and in here name widget dot our app name and dot text view. Okay, and then we want to extend from parent name widget dot material components dot text view. So what we are doing right now is we want to extend the style from the material component text view, and then in here we can override it. So in here we give him minimum height for 48 pixel, and then add some Android gravity. Android gravity basically like the position of the widget. So we are giving a center vertical. You also can change it to center, left, right, anything like that. And then the next one is Android text appearance. So in here we put attribute slash text appearance body one. So what is text appearance body one? It is a like pre-made style. In here we have, in text appearance body one, we have the font family, letter spacing, text size, and many more like that. So yeah, we can use the pre-made style for right now. If you want to customize it more, you can always add the more attribute to it. So then how to implement it in this widget over here? So scroll down to the text view over here, create a new attribute named style, equal it to style slash widget dot time dot text view. Basically, this is the name for our style over here. Okay, let's say if I cut it, you can see the difference. Okay, right now the text is small, right? So if I put it back, wait. So if I put it back, it will look larger because what? Because we already specify the size is 48 pixel minimum. So it will take 48 pixel. Okay, that's for style. You also can add more style. Say you want to style this radio button, this button, and this radio. You can always do that. The concept is the same. Yes, you can do that. Okay, the next one is you want to add some themes. Okay, before this, like I said, material components for text field, we have to design, right? You have two style. First is fill, and the next one is outline. So we want to use outline. So we need to specify theme because we don't want to specify it at every component, at every widget. Rather, so we can instead we just specify the theme. So all of the widget that use text input will use this style. So here we have concept. Okay, so it will happen like this, but we are using only one, right? So but for demonstration purpose we can use it in the themes. Okay, create a new tag in here, name item, and in here put it text input style, and in here we insert style slash widget dot material components dot text input layout dot outline box. So basically it will make sure the widget use the outline box style. So if we see back to this, it will change. It already use the outline box because we already changed the theme. So yeah, that's basically for our activity. You can always add some more stuff to it and make it your own app on your own preference. I will share the link for the solution, the full solution in the chat later, the GitHub link. So you can always refer that. And now we move to the quiz. Okay. So let's take the quiz together. Okay, first question. Which of the following is true about class inheritance? Class inheritance lets you use codes and makes your program easy to maintain. Yes, I think this is true because the child will have what the parent have. So we can use the code basically. Yeah, we can use the code. The next one, properties and function of the parent class are available to the child class. Yes, that's basically what you mean by inheritance. So this is also true. Next one, you can define additional properties and functions that are specific to the subclass. So the child also can add some more properties and function. That's it also correct. Next one, you can override parent class members in subclass. So yes, basically this is what we did in this project before in the style. We override the parent attributes. So basically all of the above. I will go with all of the above. Next one, which of the following are true about abstract classes? They can be extended by subclasses and implementation can be provided for abstract members of the class. Yes, they can be extended by subclasses and the implementation is provided by the abstract. Okay, so this is correct. I will take it. They have an implementation for all of the properties and function. Okay, I think this is not the answer because in abstract class we do not implement the properties or function. We just declare abstract attribute, abstract method like that. So we do not implement it. So I will left it untick. The next one, they may have abstract properties or abstract functions. Yes. They may have. They can be instantiated. I think the answer is no, because abstract class actually cannot be instantiated. Only the subclasses that only can be instantiated. Next one, they are not fully implemented and cannot be instantiated. Okay, they're basically the opposite of this. And so this is correct. They cannot be implemented yet and cannot be instantiated. The next one, they need to be marked with the open keyword to be extended. No, we do not use the open keyword for this part. The next one, fill in the blanks. The blank space is called when you create an instance of a class. Okay, what will you call? So this question is pretty hard actually. So what it called is constructor. The constructor method is called when you create an instance of a class. So because when you create a new class, it will construct a new the new instance, right? So it will use the constructor method. Yeah. So basically that's it. The next one, how do you mark a property to be used only inside its current class? Use the override keyword. No, this is for override the parent. The next one, val keyword. This is for declare variable. The next one, private keyword. I think this is correct. This is to make it private only for in class. And the next one, close. I think no. And it's not possible to do this. No, it is possible. So I will go with this private keyword. The next one. Okay, select all the answers that are true for this XML layout when displayed on the screen. Okay, so here we have a constraint, and the next one we have two text view. The first one is text view A. You have the width of red content and height of the red content, which means the original width. Okay, we have text A in here, and the text view start at the start of the parent, and the top start at the top of the parent. So basically, it will locate at the left top of the application. The next one is text view B. Have the same width and height, wrap content. The text is B. And the next one, we have constraint end to end of parent and top to the top of parent. So basically, the end of this text view is at the end of parent. So which means this is at the right top. Okay. So we have the idea over here. This is at the left top. The B is at the right top. Okay, let's see the answers. Text view A appears vertically stacked on top of text view B. So basically they overlap. So this is no, I will left it untick because the one is the left, one is at the right. So yeah. The next one, the starting edge of text view A is aligned to the starting edge of the parent view. Okay, let's see. Text view A, starting edge of text view A. Starting of text view A at the start of parent view. So yes, correct. At the start of the parent view. So yes. Next one, starting edge of text view B is aligned to the starting edge of the parent view. Let's see. Start end at the end of parent. So basically, this is wrong because actually the end edge of the text view B is aligned at the end edge of the parent view. So this is wrong. Next one, text view B is horizontally and vertically centered within the parent. So no, because because we imagine it, the text view should be on the right side of the app. So it is not it's not centered vertically or horizontally. The next one, the tops of tab view A and tab view B are aligned to the top of the parent view. Okay, let's see. The top of A is at the top of parent, the top of B at the top of parent. So yes, this is correct. Next one, the width of text view A matches the width of the parent constraint layout. Let's see. The width, we use wrap content, which means the original size of text view, and it does not say that you use parent, so this is wrong. I will go with 2 and 5. The next one, which line of XML code will produce an error? Let's see one by one. So this is the open tag of text view. Okay, the next line is Android layout width equal to wrap content. I don't see any problem over here. Let's see the next one, Android layout height. Okay, I can see that there is no equal sign here. So we know that the line number 3 has problem. Next one, padding equal to 8 dp. Android text equal to string slash title. I do not see any problem. Next one, text size 18 sp. Okay, so in here, they actually forget to put the double quote marks in here. So yeah, this is wrong. So 3 and 6. 3 and 6. So that is my answer. Next one, which of the following is true about Gradle? Okay, let's see. Gradle is an automated build system used by Android Studio to build your apps. Yes, Gradle. Yeah, basically this is what Gradle means. The next one, Gradle handles installing your apps on a device. This is true also. Um, Next one, your apps build.gradle file is written in XML. Okay, let's see. Let's see Android.gradle. So in here we have build.gradle in here. So if we see, okay, this is not a XML file. Yeah, so this is wrong. Next one, you can configure Android specific options for your project in your apps build.gradle. Yes, we can specify options that we want. Let's see right back. Yes, they have some version over here, and yeah, some version. So basically the version that we want to use, the version of dependencies that we want to use. So yes, this is correct also. The next one, the Gradle configuration for your project cannot change after you initially create the project. No, actually we can edit it right now. We can edit it after we create it. So yeah, basically just change the version. Let's say I want 1.2.1.1.2, just change it like that. Okay. Next one, next question. Which of the following statements about app icons are true? It is sufficient to provide a single bitmap image of your app icon in your project to make it appear high quality on a range of Android devices. Okay, we can see before bitmap image is not suitable for all device screen, because in bitmap image cannot be scaled up, so it will maybe appear blurry, pixelated on some device, so it is wrong. Next one, MDPI, HDPI, and the triple HDPI are the city qualifiers for resource density to indicate that these are resources to be used on device with specific screen density. Yes, basically yeah, this is the folder for specific screen density. Next one, additive icons are made of a foreground and background layer and mask. So we saw before you have foreground and background and also mask. What is the mask? What mask is like, you see the circle mask and the square mask when the icon is display on the application on the phone. So this is the mask. Next one, vector drawables only work for certain screen density and should not be scaled. This is the opposite of it. Vector drawables can work for any screen density and can be scaled. So I will go with 2 and 3. Next one, which of the following, which of the below steps are part of changing colors of your app theme? Okay, the keyword is changing the color of your app theme. Okay, first, modify the themes.xml. Okay, this is correct. Next one, set the primary secondary color themes attribute of your app theme. This is also correct. Honian already showed us before. Next one, define the colors used in your app as color resources in colors.xml. This is also true. Set the background color of your app in the activities layout file. I think this is not the right answer, because if we change the activity layouts file, the color only change for this layout, particular layout only, not the whole theme, not the whole application. So yeah, this is, I will left it unticked. The next one, set the color attribute on all your QI components. So no, basically that's thing that we want to prevent to do. So instead we need to declare the theme. This is the opposite of theme. This is we specify each one of the component. Next one, change the name of your theme to your preferred color. No, you need to change the value of the color, not the name of the theme, not the name of the color. Yeah, so basically 1, 2, 3. Last one, why use the material components for Android library? First, it provides widgets that follow the material design guidelines, such as text fields and switches. Yes, basically the material components is the best practice for us to use for UI design. Next one, it makes your code compile faster. not necessary. So this is wrong. It provides default material themes that you can use directly or extend and can customize. Yes, we already saw it before. We use the default one and then we customize it a little bit. The next one, it automatically suggests ways of your app to look better. Yes, basically, yeah. It suggests the better ways for better UI design. Wait, let's see. Let's read it again. It automatically suggests ways for your app to look better. I think I will go with no. It not suggest, it provide. Yeah. But I think you can go with any answer that you think you want. It helps you more quickly build your it helps you more quickly build beautiful user experience. Yes, because we can just use the template given, right? So just it's very quick. Okay, I think I want to see back the first answer. It automatically suggests ways for your app to look better. Okay, actually is material component doesn't necessarily the best looking, but so yeah, I think this is wrong. Not necessarily the best, the better looking. The best looking depends on your preference, right? So yeah, and then submit answer. Okay, congratulations. We get all 10 out of 10. Hopefully, you all are too. So, hopefully, so that's the end for our session tonight. Hopefully, you all get some valuable input. So you all can practice and make Android app after this. I will share the link of the GitHub in the chat. And now we move on to the next session is Q&A. So, yeah, let's move on to the next session. You all can start asking question whether by open your voice or in the chat.
I have a question to ask.
Okay.
Just now you mentioned about the vector, right? The vector for the app icon,
Yes.
and you gave us a link to that. I wonder if we want to have our own image, can we do that? Can we like generated link for an image that we find on, let's say, Google search or what?
You can do that as long as it's .sml file.
Yeah, but what if it isn't, and is there a way to convert it to XML?
Oh, let's see if we can convert it online. Wait. SVG to SML. Actually, I'm not sure about this. Benny, do you know about this? Is Benny here? Ah, yes.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
My question was, if I want to convert, let's say, a JPEG into a vector, into
A
XML.
JPEG into a vector. Okay, you can just use the JPEG as it is. If
But
you have,
one,
okay, so why do you want to convert it into a vector?
I want to make it my app icon.
Okay.
Like if I use JPEG, I have to get on various sites, right? For
Yeah.
various grid.
Okay.
As far as I know, you cannot convert bitmap image to vector image, but you can convert vector image to bitmap. So, yeah, that's my I think. So, Benny, what do you think?
Okay. Well, vector. How do I say this? You can convert JPEG, PNG, vector, SVG, interchangeably using softwares you can find in the internet. Vectors, however, I'm not really sure about that, but I think there is software to convert it. I think.
I guess I can help here a little. I'm going to share my screen.
Go ahead.
So if you are asking, I hope I answer you right. So this is a sample project that I have for my own project. If you're asking about if you can use PNG to change your app icon, it's doable. So you just have to make your logo or whatever you want to use for your app. So usually I work like this. Okay, if you click right on Drawable and click on image asset, and you can just use your own from here path. There is a pathway. You can select your own PNG file as long as um, the quality is nice. You can pick it, and then here you can arrange the size of your image. You see, if I make it bigger, so it goes out of the circle of the app icon. And if I try, you have to try and adjust this according to that it goes and fits inside this circle you're having here. My Android Studio is a bit slow right now, but you see that how it changes, and it's just PNG. And also for the background, you can also do the same. So here, you're having foreground in the background. I just choose normal black background. It's PNG file. So if you want to change your app icon to PNG, you can do it. It shouldn't be necessarily into bitmap. But in this way, if you convert and do these changes and try to navigate down to bitmap into your to find it in your resource trouble, you can find your um, logo there. This is the background color that I have for my background launcher. It's in different density, and same for the foreground. And you see that it's .png, but it's in different density.
All right. So it will. So the Android Studio will create different size of image that we input, right?
Yeah, if you do that way that I showed you, it happens automatically.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah. So it's not necessary to need to convert into a vector. Can use a
Yeah,
PNG. All right.
yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
But if you do not insert the .sml or the vector, I will share my screen. Wait, I will show my screen. Uh, Wait a minute.
Oh my god.
If you do not use the SML file, you cannot use these features in Android. Additive icons, which means yeah, this is for Android and above. You can use the additive icon, basically one file for all of the skin density. So yeah, that's basically the downside if you do not use the vector file. Yeah, basically that's it.
Okay. So like those big companies like Facebook, their apps icons are usually XML, right? Like they design their own XML, or they usually just use PNG or what.
I'm not sure
Like
about that. How people usually do that? Uh, I think yeah, I think they use. Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
okay.
There are pretty enough tutorial about this on YouTube. You can check it out. Even with the way that I showed you just now, it's gonna make it adaptive. The forehead moves when you navigate into your phone when you're having a lot of apps and navigate on your phone. This way is also adaptive, but the better way is always for the sake of adopting good coding and all of those good things. So it's better to have it as XML, but having PNG is not wrong. But you can search more on that.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Lim Ming Kang. That's a nice question. Okay, the next question, if anyone have it. So yeah, I guess no question. Wait, before we end, I want to share the link before I forget in the chat. So I share the GitHub link, so you can refer that solution to make your own app. Make your own app. Okay, I guess that's all for tonight. I hope we all I hope we're gonna see you all again the next session. Right, that's last week. That is the last session for Kotlin Study Jam. So yeah, that's it. Good night and bye.
Thank you
Thank you
all.
guys.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
God, the bye sounds funny, but it's okay. Thank you for all the loyal participants so far. Although participants are kind of decreasing, but that's fine, I guess. Still, see you guys next week. Okay, bye bye. Morale. Oh God. It's okay.